Good afternoon, everyone. It is Steve Lookner with Right Side Broadcasting coming to you with a news alert. A plane, a Southwest plane en route from New York to Dallas today had to make an emergency landing in Philadelphia when its engine exploded. Some sort of explosion happened with his engine. You can see a photo right above me right here, or right to the side of me. When that explosion happened with the engine, shrapnel from the plane, from the engine, pierced the plane. It shattered a window, depressurized the cabin. A woman was sucked partially out of the cabin, was pulled back in by other passengers, and a number of passengers have been injured reportedly. And this plane had to make an emergency landing in Philadelphia. So we wanted to give you the latest on this situation. I just saw a tweet mentioning that people were injured and getting some injury numbers, and I want to get that tweet there for you. Sorry, I got this tweet about injuries, and then I went to click the tweet, and it was deleted. So I want to see if there are any more updated numbers on the injuries and more information on this as it still comes out. So we're going to try to give you as much information as we can. Let me just make sure you can hear me. You can hear me, that's good. Okay, I am in the alternate studio today, not our normal studio, so bear with me if there are technical difficulties. Okay, so this just in. I have not heard of this yet. B&O News is saying 8 people injured, one of them critically. So this I had not heard before. 8 people injured, one of them critically after Southwest Airlines plane explosion. So I'm going to retweet that. So that's the first I've heard that many people were injured. 8 people injured. Also the first I've heard that there's a critical injury. Now, I have not heard any word yet on how this actually happened. It seems obviously worrisome that this engine exploded like that. And as you can see there, so how would that happen? And also, another question I have is how, when this explosion happened, did that cause the window to get blown out of the aircraft? So one of the windows was blown out I'll show you photos of that soon, but those windows are pretty strong. So, I mean, my guess is that the explosion was just so strong, it blew out the window of the aircraft. But that's pretty strong. I mean, for obvious reasons, you don't want holes to be puncturing the side of an aircraft. So the fact that this shrapnel pierced the aircraft and injured passengers apparently shows that this was a very powerful explosion, and I've heard nothing yet on how this happened exactly. So trying to get you the latest information here on this. And if you hear anything, give me a shout on Twitter, @Lookner, @LOOKNER. So again, this fact just in, 8 people injured, one of them critically. So that's not good news. 8 injured, one of them critically. All right, so let me, real quick, get some other stuff here for you on the air, Now here is, by the way, a couple of videos have come out about this today. This was Eyewitness News, New York. They posted this video. Now this video shows, sorry, hang on a second here. Hang on, let's do it this way. First of all, shows the Southwest flight emergency landing from a passenger perspective. So here's a video that Eyewitness News ABC7NY posted. Let's watch this. So again, that was posted by Eyewitness News, ABC7NY. So I saw that video. Here are a couple photos. I was telling you that the window was blown out, that the engine exploded and it blew out the window. Here are some shots of that window in that area where the window is blown out. So here's a shot right here. There's the window that was blown out. Now, I don't know. I would guess that this might be the window where the woman was partially sucked out of the plane. It's kind of crazy to think if the woman was partially sucked out, was like her head outside the plane when it was traveling really fast and thousands of feet in the air. Also, I don't know if the woman sucked out of the plane was wearing a seatbelt or not. I have no idea. So, you'd think it'd be hard for her to be sucked out of the plane if she's wearing a seatbelt. But then again, I would think there's a lot of reverse pressure or pulling on her that even gets her out of the plane. So maybe you can be sucked out partially even with a seatbelt on. I don't know. But that's a picture of the window right there. And then here is the seating area with that window. Now it's interesting. The window's blown out, but in that picture, I don't see like huge chunks taken out of the seats. So I don't know. I heard shrapnel pierced the plane. I don't know to what degree it did. Fox News had a report earlier where it said an eyewitness said there was blood everywhere on the plane, but I haven't had that confirmed. So that's the plane, inside the plane where the window got blown out. Boeing tweeted, Boeing is aware of an incident with Southwest Air flight number 1380. We are gathering more information and stand ready to provide technical assistance. Now, I assume it's a Boeing plane if they posted that. Now here, let me show you this. Let me get you a little more information here on this. Again, we just heard, we're hearing 8 injured, 1 critically in this incident. So we're going to try to get you more on that. Hang on one second here. This is Right Side Broadcasting. You are watching our live coverage of this accident today, apparently accident where a engine exploded on a Southwest Airlines plane heading from New York's LaGuardia Airport to Dallas. It had to make an emergency landing in Philadelphia. So just trying to get you the latest information on this. So this article from NBC 10 says, the jet's left engine blew shortly after takeoff, passengers said. Pieces of shrapnel flew into the plane's fuselage in at least one window. See if they have any updates here in this article. A Southwest Airlines flight landed safely in Philadelphia after the jet violently depressurized when a piece of engine flew into and broke a window. One passenger's father-in-law, relaying information from his daughter, said the impact was so severe that a female passenger was partially sucked out of the plane when the window imploded. Now, I wonder, was it the person maybe sitting at this window here who was sucked out partially? And you in your head, you get this idea of like, was that person's like head actually outside the window as the plane was flying? Another question I have is, we've heard one person's critically injured. Was it maybe the person who was partially sucked out this window? Todd Barr told NBC 10 the woman was partially drawn out of the plane before being pulled back in by other passengers. Now that also makes me wonder, is the only thing that stopped her being pulled back in was that maybe she didn't fit through the window? Maybe she was stuck in the window? Maybe, those windows are pretty small. Maybe she suffered injuries when the pressure pulled her through that window and compressed. You can imagine if you have a body that doesn't fit through a window, but the pressure is pulling you out the window, you could imagine severe injuries happening from that. So I have no idea, but I'm just speculating here. But we do know 8 injured, 1 critically injured. The pilot said to people, he radioed in, "We have a part of the aircraft missing." Asked whether the plane was on fire, the pilot responded while in flight, "No, it's not on fire, but part of it is missing. They said there is a hole and someone went out." Oh my gosh. So the pilot at that point looks like they thought somebody had actually gone out of the plane. This was a Dallas-bound, it was indeed a Boeing 737-700, and it made an emergency landing at Philadelphia International Airport at 11:20 a.m. There were 149 people on board. A ground stop was put into effect at the airport as crews responded. Here is a shot. The jet's engine blew shortly after takeoff. Pieces of shrapnel flew into the plane's fuselage in at least one window. Here's a shot of the plane, and you can see the left engine there just man, something very catastrophic happened to it, and it exploded, and exploded so violently that pieces of it actually blew out a window of the plane. And this is crazy. The plane was flying at around 32,500 feet when the incident happened. So that passenger who got sucked out, they were sucked partially out of a plane that was 32,500 feet. So if, who knows what happened to that person? Did they get injured getting partially sucked out by getting forced through this narrow window? I would assume you can't really breathe the air, or it's very hard to at that altitude. So if the person's head was outside the plane, I can imagine them having all sorts of injuries from that. But I don't know if it's the person's head that was outside the plane or not, and if that's the person who's critically injured. Let's see here. The plane descended by more than 3,000 feet per minute until the pilots leveled out at around 10,000 feet. Arthur Walk, an aviation expert, said that that is a modest rate of descent and indicated that the pilot had control of the aircraft. Bauer described the crew as incredible, saying the pilots and flight attendants acted calmly and quickly. Now, the person who posted that video before, Marty Martinez, we saw a video of from in the cabin of people using their oxygen mask, and the person shooting it, it looked like they turned around the camera and they showed themselves with an oxygen mask on them. That person said, "Something is wrong with our plane. It appears we are going down. Emergency landing, Southwest flight from NYC to Dallas." Facebook user, I don't know, did he post? Yeah, he posted a Facebook Live video. He posted this on Facebook Live. He said, "We are racing for landing." I'm going to see if I can find that video. The woman who was apparently pulled out of the plane is said to have been rushed to a Philadelphia hospital. It's not clear how many other passengers were injured, how serious those injuries may be. We are hearing the latest news we heard from B&O News. 8 injured, 1 critically. Let's see. Let me see what else I can find here on this. Thank you, by the way, to our moderators. I know Barbara Braley is there moderating in the YouTube chat. Thank you, Barbara. Okay, let me see if this is any different. So the New York Post posted this. It's a video. It says Marty Martinez via Storyful, and I'm guessing this might be the Facebook Live video he posted. We already saw a clip of this posted by ABC News. So let's play this and see what this is. See if he says anything in this one. This is during the flight. You know, I haven't seen yet. I haven't seen a clip of the guy making the video talking on the video. I wonder if I can find that. See if I can find that for you. I'd like to show it to you. Here's a photo of passengers in the flight, all with their oxygen mask on, posted by Eyewitness News. Oh, is this him talking? Oh, okay. So this says Action News on ABC posted this one. Let me show you this. Hang on. It says Southwest Air passenger Marty Martinez did a brief Facebook Live posting with the caption, "Something is wrong with our plane. It appears we are going down. Emergency landing." So he didn't say that. He posted that as a caption. Southwest flight from NYC to Dallas. I see. So I thought he actually said this in his video, but he actually posted this Facebook Live video with that caption on it. Crazy. Dutch Tulip in our chat room says it looks like they were quite high in the sky. Yes, Dutch Tulip. This happened. The engine exploded shortly after takeoff, but they were 32,500 feet in the air. 32,500 feet altitude. And the explosion caused pieces of shrapnel to break a window, to knock the window out. And also shrapnel pierced the fuselage, and we're hearing 8 injured, 1 critically. The critical injured might have been the woman who was partially sucked out of the plane and then pulled back in by passengers. We don't know exactly who it was at this point, but there was a passenger who was partially sucked out of that plane. If you're hearing more on this, give me a shout on Twitter, at Lookner, at Lookner. Let me know. And what was I going to say? If you like our these broadcasts, we are a viewer-supported network. So if you like that we're doing coverage of this and you have an alternative to mainstream media, feel free to donate to us here at Right Side Broadcasting. You can donate by going to the bottom of the YouTube chat, bottom of the YouTube chat. Click the dollar sign at the bottom of the YouTube chat, or go to rsbn.tv/donate. rsbn.tv/donate. Let me just check something here real quick. Give me 1 sec, guys. I am not in Atlanta right now at our current usual home studio, so things are a little different in this studio than I'm normally used to. So I'm just setting things up here and fixing a couple things. That's better. So let me see what else I can find about this plane. And I've heard no word on the cause of this yet. So Matt Camper said, I had heard this too. He said, I'm hearing that the NTSB are supposed to be having a briefing on this at some point soon. Thank you, Matt. I don't know if I'll be able to bring that to you just because I'm in this alternate studio today, but I can give you live updates of it when I get them, if we're on the air when it happens. So it's just things are a little funky today in the studio I'm in. Oh, Sire Castigator sent me this. So, Marty Martinez, thank you. This is the guy's Facebook page. This is Marty Martinez. He is the guy who posted that video from inside the plane we were looking at with people, including him, with oxygen masks on. And so Marty Martinez posted, this is 27 minutes ago, he said, I literally bought Wi-Fi as the plane was going down because I wanted to be able to reach the people I loved, thinking these were my final moments on Earth. And put in a position to have to prioritize the people I loved to send them my final words was an absolutely gut-wrenching feeling. So I thought to Facebook Live my experience, thinking this would be my last communication with the people I loved and my team back home, Social Revolt Agency. I guess that's where he worked. So that's when he did his live stream. So that's his post, Marty Martinez. Said he bought the Wi-Fi as the plane was going down. He also posted these photos. He said flight 1380. Let me go on the other side. Flight 1380 from New York, NYC to Dallas crash landed in Philly. Engine exploded in the air and it blew open window 3 seats away from me. The window blew open. Explosion, critically injured woman sitting in the seat next to the window. There you go. Wow. There you go. Critically injured woman sitting in the seat next to the window. Now, it doesn't say here if it injured her by sucking her out of the window or hitting her with something. Like I would assume she was the one who was sucked partially out of the window, but I don't know that. And he posted some photos. Wow. These are all from Marty Martinez. Good job covering the news, Marty Martinez, who was on that flight. Here's his video that he posted. We've seen this already. So he actually bought Wi-Fi as the plane was descending so he could post that video. And he said talk to his loved ones, I think. Another picture he posted. Crazy. How scary is that? And we've seen this video too. Nope, can't really see him in that one. Oh, here's a shot with the, looks like a firefighter who's on, or some kind of rescue person who's actually on the flight. This must have been after it landed. You know, another thing is, he said the woman sitting next to the window, this window, was critically injured. I assume she's the one that got sucked out. It's interesting. We don't see blood there. So I'm wondering if her injuries had something to do, again, with getting, as I mentioned before, maybe getting compressed, her body getting compressed as she was sucked part way out the window. I don't know if she was wearing a seatbelt. Even if she was, I don't know if the pull was enough to, maybe... Those seatbelts are super strong, but I wonder I would assume the seatbelts are made to withstand the strength of depressurization, but who knows? But that's that window that got blown out. Thank you to our viewer, for Sire Castigator, for alerting me to the Facebook page. If you are seeing any more about this, any updates, give me a shout on Twitter, @Lookner, @LOOKNER. Let's see what else I can find about it. Ooh, hang on a second. Let me see if I can get this on the air, guys. I might be able to get you this briefing. Hang on 1 second. Give me 1 second here, please. Yes. Hang on, guys.
Earlier this morning. Here's the information that we have at this time. At about 11:15 this morning, Southwest Flight 1380, that's a Boeing 737-700, was en route from LaGuardia to Dallas Love when it suffered an apparent engine failure, in-flight engine failure of the left engine, and subsequently diverted into Philadelphia. The registration number of the aircraft is November 772 Sierra Whiskey, 772 SW. We know that there were 144 passengers and 5 crew members aboard. We do know that there have been injuries, and we would like to offer our condolences to all of those who've been affected by this event. The NTSB's GO team will be sending specialists with expertise in power plants, airworthiness, survival factors, and operations. We're also sending specialists from the NTSB's Office of Transportation Disaster Assistance who will be there to help with the needs of those who've been affected by this event. It's our understanding that the recorders have been secured, and they should be flying back on the same airplane that we're going up on. They should be back in Washington tonight. We expect a preliminary readout of those recorders in the NTSB's lab in Washington this evening. We expect to arrive in Philadelphia around 4:30 this afternoon, and we will begin our immediate investigation, examination of the engine and the damage to the fuselage. The engine will be ultimately shipped off-site where we can do a detailed examination, teardown of the engine. We expect to release factual information from Philadelphia once we get up there. We're just now beginning our journey. This will be an extensive investigation, and we do expect to release information once we're in Philadelphia. We certainly don't have a lot of factual information to report at this time. Follow us for the latest information, for our latest media interviews. You can follow us from Twitter. Our handle is @NTSB_newsroom, or at our website, www.ntsb.gov. As you know, we do need to get on the airplane and head up to Philadelphia so we can get on with this investigation. But I'll be glad to take a few questions. If you would, just raise your hands, and I'll call on you and state your name and your outlet. And you had your hand raised first.
Becky Perlow with ABC News. How concerned are you that this is a repeat of that August 2016 incident with another Southwest flight? And can you describe some of those injuries that were in this specific incident?
Well, the two-part question, is this related to, or are we concerned this might be related to the event that happened a few years ago over the Gulf of Mexico? And first and foremost, we want to look at this particular event and see what the factors are surrounding this. And maybe they're related to that previous event, and maybe they're not. But we need to understand what's going on here. As far as the injuries, we do have information there was one fatality. Any other questions? Right here.
Michelle Dubert, ABC News. Can you speak to how rare an uncontained engine fire is?
Well, so the term, you said an uncontained engine fire. Some people are saying an uncontained engine failure. We don't think there was a fire at all. Now, the term has been widely used this morning and this afternoon, uncontained engine failure. Now, I don't want to sound bureaucratic, but that uncontained engine failure connotates a very specific thing. The engine is designed not to have an uncontained engine failure. There are protection rings around the engine to keep shrapnel from coming out. Even though we believe that there were parts coming out of this engine, it may not have been in that section of the engine that technically would qualify this as an uncontained engine failure. So at this point, the NTSB is classifying this. We are saying this is an engine failure. Once we get there and look at it, we may say, well, in fact, this is an uncontained engine failure. We do know that parts came off the engine, but those parts may not have been in that section of the engine that is associated with the protection region associated with an uncontained engine failure. There's a question here.
Steve Trimble with Flight Global. Can you say what the status of the investigation on Flight 3472 is, and any pending recommendations about fan containment?
What is the status of the previous Southwest Airlines uncontained engine failure, or engine failure, I should say, that was classified as an uncontained engine failure. I don't have that information right now. Our focus right now is getting out the door at headquarters and getting on this airplane so that we can get up to Philadelphia. Yes, sir.
Emmanuel Casagna, CBS News. As a former 3737 pilot, have you ever experienced a situation like this?
As a former Boeing 737 pilot, and I flew the 737 for 10 years, have I ever experienced a situation like this? And the answer to that is no. I'll take 2 more questions. There's a question right here.
I understand you can't classify this. How unusual is an uncontained engine failure versus how unusual is a mid-air
Yeah.
generic engine?
Great question. So even if this is not an uncontained engine failure, how frequent does the NTSB see what we technically do qualify as an uncontained engine failure? And the answer to that is about 3 or 4 a year. And not all of those involve U.S. carriers. In late fall, there was an A380 that had an uncontained engine failure over Greenland. That was not a U.S. carrier. So we see about 3 or 4 of those a year. There's one last question. I'll take it right here.
Yes, sir. We understand there was a proposed airworthiness directive involving this model of engine. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So what can I tell you about a proposed airworthiness directive on this engine? Now, the engine is a CFM 56 engine, which is a very widely used engine in commercial transport. And the CFM 56, there are various iterations of that. And so I can't say exactly what that airworthiness directive might have applied to at this point, but that will be part of our investigation. Again, we're just now getting together and heading up to Philadelphia. So those types of things we can go back and look at down the road. Our focus now is to get up to Philadelphia so that we can collect the perishable information, the information that goes away with the passage of time. So my commitment to you is that while I'm on scene, we will be releasing information as we know it. If we have something tonight, we will have a media briefing. If we don't, we won't have it. But we do plan to release information as we hear it. I want to thank you all very much for being here. We are going to get on the airplane now and head up to Philadelphia. Thank you very much.
Okay, sorry, apologies. You might hear a little noise in the background. So this just in, the NTSB representative announced 1 passenger, there's been 1 death. I don't know if he said passenger. I would assume it's one of the passengers. So he said there's been 1 death today in this incident where a Southwest plane engine exploded. You can see a picture of the engine there. It was a flight heading from New York LaGuardia Airport to Dallas. Shortly after takeoff, when the jet was at 32,500 feet, the left engine exploded, sending shrapnel into the fuselage of the plane. It actually blew out a window of the plane. And we do know that a woman passenger was sucked partially out of the plane at 32,500 feet when that happened and was then pulled back in by passengers. We don't know if that's the woman, if that's the person who died. My guess is that it's very possible that is the woman person who died. But the NTSB just announcing in that press conference 1 death in this incident today, and we had seen 8 injured, 1 dead. We had seen earlier in the broadcast, BNO News was saying 8 injured, 1 critically. Now there is 1 dead, which would mean there's at least 7 injured and 1 dead. So that is not good news. 1 dead, and I also want to show you this. This was posted by John Ostrower. He says, "This is the first fatality aboard a U.S. airline flight since February 2009. Now, I'm guessing by that he means aboard one of the major airlines. There have been fatalities of people in like private aircraft, but he means U.S. airline flight. First fatality since February 2009. Now, someone below says it would be the second since 2009 because the first one was an AA pilot who died in flight. But maybe he means, I think what he means is like, not some kind of natural causes death caused by an actual failure of an aircraft. So 1 dead in this, very sad news, 1 dead in this plane engine explosion. No word from the NTSB on the cause yet. They said they're basically they didn't give a cause. They said they're examining it. They're going to be examining the engine. Reagan Better wrote in. He said, "Is it possible seagulls could have attacked the Southwest flight, causing it to explode?" Well, I had wondered about a bird strike myself, but I don't know enough about planes to know if it seems odd that a bird strike could do that to an engine and explode the engine that catastrophically, but I honestly don't know. So no idea, Reagan Better, if birds had anything to do with this. We've seen birds cause engine failures before. I know, that the movie Sully was made about that plane a few years ago that had to crash land in the Hudson River in New York City, and that plane was disabled by a bird strike, by a bunch of birds flying into an engine. But I don't know today, if that kind of damage and that kind of powerful explosion, which sent shrapnel through the fuselage and it pierced the fuselage and pierced a window. I don't know if that kind of explosion could be caused by a bird strike of some sort. Our viewer Tom Hayes says possible causes: engine failures can be caused by mechanical problems in the engine itself, such as damage to portions of the turbine or oil leaks, as well as damage outside the engine, such as fuel pump problems or fuel contamination. And he didn't specify, the NTSB guy, any kind of cause right now. He just said they're looking and going to be investigating. So 1 dead. And according to BNO News, we would have 7 injured at least. Here's a nice is the wrong word, but a clear shot of that engine. So as I was just mentioning, 1 dead now in this incident. Don't know if that dead person is the person who was sucked partially out of the plane. I would not be surprised if the dead person was a person who had been sucked partially out of the plane at 32,500 feet. That would not be surprising to me. As I said before, though, if you look at, this is the window that got blown out when the explosion happened. And as I said before, something I noted is that, so a passenger said the woman sitting next to the window that was blown out was critically injured when she was critically injured. And I assume that's the person who was partially sucked out. But an interesting thing here is when you look at this photo, which was taken by this passenger, I assume, very soon after the plane landed, you don't see any blood there. So I was wondering if the person who got sucked out, were they injured by maybe their body being compressed as they got sucked out that small window, and or loss of air because you get sucked out that window. If your head's out there, you're at 32,500 feet. I'm guessing you can't really breathe out there, and the plane's going out hundreds of miles an hour. So who knows? We don't know. We heard the person was critically injured, but for all you know, that person when they got brought back in, they were unconscious and never regained consciousness or something. So I don't really know, but that seems like a very traumatic thing. Also, I got to imagine that plane's probably going 400 or 500 miles an hour. When you get sucked out of that plane, if it's your head getting sucked out, think of the force of that wind. You stick your head out of a car going 80 miles an hour, there's a lot of wind going past. What if your head pops out of a plane going at 400, 500 miles an hour? So I would not be surprised if we find out that the woman who got partially sucked out of the plane was the person who died. But that hasn't been confirmed yet. But 1 death. Some people in the chat are suggesting what might have happened to her. Quick decompression in her lungs, broken neck. People have different ideas. So see if I can find out anything else. This is Right Side Broadcasting. If you hear anything new, give me a shout on Twitter at Lookner, at Lookner. Joey Fountain says, birds don't fly that high. So I guess, Joey, what I was wondering is, so agreed that, if it happened at 32,500 feet, you wouldn't see birds that high. But is it? I was wondering if, maybe some kind of bird strike happened at a lower altitude. It damaged the engine in some way, and that caused the engine to explode at a higher altitude. I don't know. I'm just throwing out a possibility. I know next to nothing about jet engines. Let me see if I can find more information about this. More up-to-date information about this. So this here is the Philadelphia Inquirer article. Let me see if they have anything new. There's a nice picture they have. You can see there's the plane, and you can see how much damage was caused by that engine exploding. Now, it's interesting. The front part of the engine, it's not like it's gone, but it really knocked off the whole cover. And then the back, there's all that damage in the back. And can you see in that photo, some of the side photos, you can see the window that's missing. I don't think in that shot you can see that window that's missing. So we heard one person earlier was hospitalized in critical condition. I wonder if that's the person who's dead. Okay, this is something interesting. It says passenger accounts on social media said a woman was injured by debris that pierced the aircraft's body after the engine exploded. Now, that possibly is a different woman than the woman who got partially sucked out of the plane. I don't know. BNO News was saying there were 8 injuries total. 7 other people that were treated at the airport for minor injuries. Okay, so it looks like 7 people treated with minor injuries, and a woman injured by debris, and somebody getting partially sucked out of the plane. But for all we know, the person partially sucked out of the plane is the same as the woman injured by debris. I wanted to go to the FlightAware page too. Hey, Southwest posted about this. Southwest said, we are aware that Southwest Flight 1380, blah, 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 has diverted. We are in the process of transporting customers, including to the terminal. Okay. Wonder if they've posted anything new at Southwest Airlines. Nope, that's the last thing they posted. I wonder if there's lots of angry comments on their post. So somebody says big thumbs up to the pilots, and they wrote back, thank you for your kind words toward our crew. I'm looking to see, are there any like angry posts, and do they respond to those? Like this person says, I fly with Southwest because of you all's clean track record, and it makes me feel safe. I hope the investigation can conclude what has happened to restore my comfort in your airline. I fly you all the time. But they didn't respond to that one. They didn't respond to a lot of them. Let's see if I can find... Hang on one second. Here it is. Here is the FlightAware page for Southwest 1380. So it took off at 10:27 a.m. from LaGuardia, New York. It landed only 56 minutes later. You can see what happened. So it takes off from LaGuardia and it's heading to Dallas, and it really makes that sudden shift towards Philadelphia. And also you can see the altitude graph where it did get up all the way to 32,000 feet. And then it came right back down. The green line is the altitude. The yellow line is the speed. So the green line, you can see it's making a steady rise, and then it just came down. Thanks again to our moderators. Real Frank, Barbara Brayley, and JC are all there in the chat room. And let me remind you, we are entirely I would say 99% viewer supported. We get a little money from YouTube, but not much. But basically, we're viewer supported here at Right Side Broadcasting. So if you like our coverage, we hope you consider donating, because we can't stay on the air without donations. That's the only way we could stay on the air. You can donate by going to the bottom of the YouTube chat, or click on the dollar sign at the bottom of the YouTube chat, or go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate. And a number of people online are praising the pilots, saying they did a great job landing the plane with this only one engine. So they got the plane down safely. So good job for them, definitely. Good job by them. Just seeing if I can find you any more updates, more recent updates on this. Here we go. Aaron Katersky reports, the same engine debris that shattered the window on Southwest 1380 critically injured a passenger who the NTSB later died. Now, what I don't know, he's with ABC. Now, what I don't know, not sure if this is the same passenger who was partially sucked out of the plane. Should say was. So what Aaron Katersky says is, he says the person who died was the person who got hit with debris that shattered a window. But we also know there was a person who got partially sucked out of the plane. If I had to guess, I would guess that it's all the same person. The person who was sitting by the window. One of the passengers had reported that the woman sitting next to the window was critically injured, but I haven't confirmed that yet. But that would be my guess. Let me just check a couple things here real quick. So to sum up what we know about this plane, this Southwest Airlines Boeing manufactured aircraft took off this morning from New York LaGuardia. Shortly after takeoff, it had reached 32,500 feet, and the engine exploded, the left engine exploded. Shrapnel pierced the fuselage of the plane, injuring a woman. A woman was also partially sucked out of the plane. Very well might have been the same woman, and we have one death confirmed from this. The woman who died, we know, was the woman who was hit by the shrapnel. But we also heard 7 minor injuries. I don't know if the minor injuries were treated, those minor injuries that were treated are from shrapnel, or maybe, you could have minor injuries from, the plane going down fast, or the plane suddenly changing speed, or that kind of thing. So I don't know about the nature of those injuries. And just to show you some photos if you haven't seen them yet, here is a video that was posted by a passenger on the plane while he was on the plane. And we saw before, that was this person, Marty Martinez. You can go to his Facebook page, has this videos up there. You can look at his Facebook page and see it. Marty Martinez is his name. And then Marty Martinez, I believe, took these photos that were posted by ABC News here of the area of the window that got blown out. And the seating area where this happened. So that seems to be the extent of it in terms of the injuries. It's the positive news is as far as I'm aware, there's the one death, but there's 7 minor injuries which were all treated. So it doesn't sound like there are any other serious injuries, which is good. But really sad that one person died today from this, who happened to be sitting near that engine when it exploded. So very, very sad. And we'll see if we hear more on this. If I hear more about it later today, like or in the coming days, a cause or anything, I'll certainly post it on my Twitter. So you can follow me for breaking news on Twitter. I am at Lookner on Twitter, at LOOKNER. Also, to know when we're coming on the air and doing these live videos, be sure to subscribe and follow us. Subscribe to and follow us on our various platforms. So on YouTube and Facebook, we're at Right Side Broadcasting. On Twitter, we're at RSB Network. And on Periscope, we are at RSBN TV. I apologize. Normally, I can see the chats a bit more, especially I have the YouTube chat up, although I don't get much of a chance to look at it during the broadcast. But the Facebook chat and the Periscope chat, because I'm in an alternate studio today, so I can't see those like I normally can. So I think we're going to wrap up this stream in a minute. A number of people in the chat room are talking about whether the passengers are wearing their oxygen masks correctly. I do not know. And again, thanks to all of our moderators who've been moderating the chat during the broadcast. And let me remind you again, I know I said it before, but I want to say it one more time. We are viewer supported. If you like our coverage and you want to see it continue, your donations keep us on the air. You can donate to us by going to the bottom of the YouTube chat. Click on the dollar sign at the bottom of the YouTube chat, or go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate. Stephen, it was a Boeing 737 dash something something something, and I forget the something something something, but I knew it was Boeing 737. Okay, I think we're going to wrap up this stream. We appreciate you all joining us. Certainly our condolences go out to the family and friends of that woman who died. What a terrible thing. And also our thoughts are with the passengers who were injured. We wish them a speedy recovery and everybody affected by this. So really sad that that woman got on a plane today and then the engine next to her exploded. So thank you for saying thank you in the chat room. Thank you, JC and Barbara and Real Frank, Susan Reynolds, Flat Pool, and Jasmine Guthrie. And Jude is there as well moderating. Thank you, Jude, for moderating as well. Sephirin, Thanks. And thank you, Janine. And a bunch of people saying condolences in the chat room. And we agree with you, condolences. And we don't have a name. I would assume the airline knows who this person is who died, but they're not releasing that name yet. So maybe later today we'll have a name and an identity of the person who passed away. If I hear about that, I will post it on my Twitter, @Lookner on Twitter. All right, we're going to wrap this up. If there's breaking news later today or tonight, we will hopefully come on the air. I'm going to be back. I'm traveling back to Atlanta tomorrow, so I will be in my normal studio, well, by late tomorrow night. But things will be a little more familiar and normal there in the normal studio in Atlanta. So if there's breaking news tomorrow, I might not be able to come on the air because I will be traveling much of the day. Okay, thanks everybody for saying thanks. People like Marissa, Kenneth Vaughn, and all of our moderators. And okay, we're going to wrap this stream. Thank you for joining us here at Right Side Broadcasting. This has been our live coverage of the Southwest Airlines emergency landing and engine explosion. And we will bring you more news soon here at RSBN. Again, our thoughts, our condolences to the family and friends of the passenger who very sadly died today, and our thoughts to all the people injured and affected by this. And we will see you soon with more news. Have a good day, everybody.